this state of transition that we all go through in life, right? We're always experiencing, and we are all always experiencing, a current state of affairs, and we always have an ideal state of affairs, right? This is what spurs us on and motivates us to do anything in life, because we're all working towards having more or becoming more or experiencing more fulfillment tomorrow than what we have today. All right, so there's the actual self and then there's the ideal self. And I want to really propose right from the off that this is what you are working with. This is your priority as a life coach. All right, it's never to address how a person feels about themselves, what they think about themselves, how they view themselves today. Your primary focus is always on their ideal. It's who they can become. It's what they can achieve. It's what they want to do next. All right, it's what their priorities are. Everything must always be future focused. This is what separates and distinguishes life coaching from talking therapy or from counselling or from many of the other forms of alternative therapy out there that focus on how people feel about themselves today. And sometimes people will spend years talking to a counsellor or a therapist, and nothing changes. And there's a reason for this. Nothing changes when we focus on our problems, because unless we learn to redirect our attention away from problems and towards solutions or goals, then we don't have any motivation for change. And life coaching is all about the change. Now, that's a little bit of context for a story that I would like to tell you, if that's okay. Many years ago, there was a guy, and he was transitioning through life, right? He'd woke up one morning and realised that his current state of affairs weren't ideal, right? Now, he didn't really have a clear picture on what ideal would be for him, right? He just knew that he wasn't content, he wasn't happy with who he wasn't happy with what he was doing, he just needed to change something, so he started moving. Now, as he was walking up a road, one day, he ended up kind of like a young person on a mobile phone, walking up the road, focused on his predicament and his problems, and mistakenly fell into a hole. So he got stuck in this hole. Now the hole was quite deep and it's quite wide, just too high that he wasn't able to pull himself out of it. So down this hole for a few hours, bear in mind he was off on a mission to sort his own problems out and to fix his life and to change things for himself, but he didn't know how. And now he's stuck down a hole and he didn't know how to get out of this, and he physically wasn't able to get out of it. So it got to later in the afternoon when he started getting hungry, and he humbled himself a little bit, and he thought, well, unless I kind of call out and ask for some help here, I could be stuck down here for days. So he started calling out for help, and now the local church doors had just closed for the day, and the local vicar was walking up the road, and he just so happened to be walking past a hole, and he heard the guy calling out for help. So as the vicar looked over the hole, he saw the guy down there, and the guy says, "Oh, vicar, listen, I'm so happy to see you. I've fallen down this hole and I'm stuck. Any chance you can help me out?" And the vicar said, "Yes, absolutely, my child. Let's put our hands together and bow our heads and pray." And the vicar then went on to proceed to pray a prayer, and the guy down the hole was in complete agreement for all the things that the vicar was praying for, and then that was it. The prayer ended, and the vicar said, "Listen, if you're still in your hole next week, and you need me to pray for you again, just please call out and I'll gladly do so." So the guy's down the hole, just thinking to himself, well, that's nice, but I'm still stuck in the hole. Nothing's changed. I'm still in the same current state of affairs. I'm no better off here. So he started calling out again, seeing if someone else could perhaps help him out. And the local talking therapy office had just closed its doors for the day. And one of the trained counsellors was walking up the road and just so happened to hear the calls for help coming from out of this hole. So the counsellor approached the hole and looked in. You could see the young man down there, clearly getting quite distressed now. And the counsellor said, "Right, okay." Pressed a button on his stopwatch and said, "Right, so let's talk about what it feels like to be in this hole. Let's talk about, what does it feel like down there? And what's your relationship like with your mum and dad? And let's talk about perhaps some early childhood trauma." And the guy just started thinking about, his dysfunctional relationship with his father and how discontented he was in his current career and how unfulfilled he currently is in life. And as he focused right in on his current state of affairs, his mood just plummeted. he ended up feeling sad, he started feeling anxious, feeling quite traumatized in truth, and the talking therapist said, I can really feel you. I can really feel you, empathically. And then his stopwatch started beeping. And he said, oh, listen, terribly sorry. Listen, that's our time up for today. So listen, if you're still in the hole next week and you would like to have a further conversation, perhaps explore this hole in more depth, then give me a shout next week and we'll carry on our conversation. And the counsellor carried on. Now the guy's down the hole. He's, what's just happened? I feel absolutely devastated now. I've just completely focused right in on everything that I don't have and how I feel. And oh my goodness, I feel completely traumatized. So, just about ready to give up hope, he started calling out again, a bit more desperation, but please, can someone help me out of this hole? Please, can someone help me? And the local doctor's surgery now had closed its doors for the day, and the local doctor's walking up the road. As the doctor heard the calls for help coming out the hole, she looked over and said, oh, young man, I can see you've fallen into a hole. Can I help you? I said, yeah, I feel absolutely distraught. I'm down the hole. I feel terrible. Oh, can you please help me out? And the doctor said, yes, I've got just the thing for you. I can see you have generalized anxiety disorder. You've got post-traumatic stress disorder. And I think you've also got some depression creeping in. So I'm going to write you a prescription. And the doctor went on to write a prescription, folded it over, threw it in the hole, and then proceeded to say, and listen, if symptoms persist, please reach out and come back and see me or call out to me next week when I'm passing again. Now the guy's stuck down the hole. He's got a prescription, he's been prayed for, he's had a 45-minute talking therapy session, and nothing has changed. He's still not any clearer on what his problem is or where he needs to get to. But this is kind of where many people get stuck in life. You know, especially today in the 2020s, more than any other point in history. All right, the anecdotal and the superficial so-called solutions that are out there for people who have feelings and emotions and undesired circumstances. Coaching is about helping people to plug a gap, right? People have life experiences. People define themselves in a certain way. People have relationships, people have beliefs and worldviews, and the circumstances that people face in life will determine how fulfilled they are or how fulfilled they are not. When people are not fulfilled in life, or unfulfilled in life, or discontent or dissatisfied in life, this generally, in most people, is what provokes change. But a person wanting to change does not necessarily mean that a person knows how they need to change, or how they must change, or how they should change, or how they could most effectively change. But one thing is for certain, that talking about problems, all right, and talking about one's feelings, and talking about one's circumstances does not lead to change, right? Change does not happen through only talking about one's problems, or one's circumstances, or one's feelings, or one's emotions. And I really want to impress upon you that life coaching is not therapy. Life coaching is not anecdotal. It's not inspirational. It's not motivational. It's very, very different. It's very practical. Life coaching is about jumping into the hole with people and practically helping them to define the action steps that they need to take to get out for themselves. To define what it is that they want. What is their vision? What is their goals? What do they want to achieve? What can they accomplish? How can they develop themselves? How can they grow? Who can they become? What is the legacy they want to leave behind? Right? Because unless a person is motivated and inspired to get out of a hole in life for themselves, then many people will stay in that hole for anything up to an entire lifetime and complain about how dissatisfied and how unfulfilled they are. And they'll keep on going and talking to that talking therapist, and they'll keep on getting prescriptions, and they'll get more medication, but yet nothing changes. So what are we as life coaches? We're simply agents that facilitate change. We're not agents that make change happen, right? We're agents that facilitate change by helping people to take their focus away from their current circumstances and redirect their focus onto what it is that they ultimately want. Because until a person is focused on what they actually want, they will have little to no motivation to change or to transition.